Today is the 7th of November 2019. We are here at Spalding Library in District Heights, Maryland for the Speak Your Truth oral history recording. My name is Sonja Hamilton and I'm here today with Mr. Nathaniel Mathis. Good afternoon, Mr. Nathaniel.
Good
We're
afternoon.
so happy to have you here with us today. How are you?
Good.
Good.
Fantastic.
Okay. We are honored to have you here as we unpack your career from a young African American man into your adulthood and what that journey has been like for you.
Oh, it's been fantastic. It's like a dream come true, like you're living a dream. And, I constantly think about what I want to do and I manifest it. And anybody can do it. It's just up to you to get focused on what you want to be, have, or do. Think about it and make it happen.
So to give our listeners a brief background of who you are, can you tell me when you were born, when and where?
Yeah.
Yes, and yeah.
Yes, I was born here in Washington, D.C. area. I was born at a hospital called Gallinger Hospital in Washington, D.C. in 1946. I was a very happy child, only child, and I really enjoyed my childhood. One thing with my grandmother, I always wanted to impress her, So I told her a long time ago, she asked me, she said, what do you want to be when you grow up? I said, Grandma, I want to be famous. She said, famous? She said, you got to help people to be famous. I said, I'll help people. I was about 10 at the time. So for one Christmas, my mother gave me $50 for Christmas. And I decided, what is it that I want? So I went to the five and dime store, looked in the window, and I saw some clippers, hair clippers. And I said, if I cut somebody's hair, I could get some money back and give the other person some money. And I said, how much am I going to charge? I said, everybody's paying $1.25 for a haircut. I said, I'll charge 50 cents. Okay, so I said, let me go home and find out where I can make a shop. So my mother said, I said, Mom, can I have a place to cut people's hair? She said, what about the back porch? We had a screened-in back porch. So I said, okay, that's good. I got me a little table, set it up, and she used to sew at the time, and the barbers had a gown that you put around people's neck. So she took a sheet and made me a gown, okay? I took that gown and set my stuff up, got my scissors and everything, and then I started thinking, where can I get me some customers? I thought about it. I was thinking like an entrepreneur, didn't realize it. I said, I'll go down to the playground, because what happens, people play basketball, in the morning, and then in the afternoon they would go to the barber shop. So I went down and convinced a couple guys that I was cutting hair. Never cut a head of hair in my life.
So I could
12. So, so I really believed that I could do this. So a friend of mine named Carlton Calloway, I never forget. I said, come on. He said, can you cut hair? I said, yeah, man, come on up. I can do this. So he came up. I started acting like a barber. I popped the sheet, pow, put it around his neck. Got some toilet paper, put it around, like I saw the barbers do. And I remember how the barber would stand and all that. I got into that pose and started acting like I knew what I was doing. So I started cutting, just thinking in my mind what I've seen the barber do. So I'm cutting and cutting. Nobody's ever trained me or anything. So what happened with the interesting part was I worked on it about an hour trying to really get it right, So I thought I had it right at the time. So it was just one little piece of hair in the back that I thought. So when I did like that, the blade fell off and I cut a big chunk out of his head in the back. It's in my book. You can read about it. And I was scared to death because I didn't know. He was a big guy. I was like a little skinny kind of guy. But after he, realized, he never realized, but what happened, I gave him the mirror, and I was waiting to see what he was going to say, and he came out and he said, that's good. And I'm like, whoa, that's good. And in my mind, I'm thinking I messed up. So with that same confidence, I just started cutting people's hair, going around to various people's houses in the neighborhood and telling the mothers that I was cutting hair now. So they would send their little boys up, and I said, how much you charge? 50 cents. Okay, so what happened, I just kept going. And then one day this really was really something. I was cutting hair on the back porch, and one of the neighborhood bullies ran into the house. And I didn't know what he was doing because everybody would sit. You'll see how I got my house now. It's the same kind of way. And he ran in, and then the detectives came. And they said, "Did you see anybody come through here?" And I was scared because I wasn't supposed to be cutting without a license. You know what I mean? So he came. He said, I said, "No, sir." So what happened was after that, I got scared, what they call scared straight. And I was going to Spingarn High School at the time. And Phelps Vocational High School was right around the corner. So I decided that I wanted to take barbering and, really see if I could get my license so I wouldn't get myself in trouble. And from that point, at that time, I was cutting pretty good. And I became the teacher's pet because he saw something in me, I guess because I had been cutting already and creating my own stuff. And he said, "Okay, yeah, I want you to help the other guys, because you can kind of cut pretty good." And he showed me various things. And from that point on, I just continued on. And I was singing in a singing group. By that time, I was about 16 or 17. I started singing with a group that I formulated called the Stereophonics. And we used to go around doing shows and everything like that in different schools and everything. So we got a chance to go to the Howard Theater. And James Brown, you'll see him in my book, he was the guy that was initiating the competition. And we won not first place, but we won a chance to come back. And what happened, these are life's lessons that I learned. I was the spokesman of the group, and we tied for first place with this other group. And I decided to change the song. And what happened was I learned from that we lost. And I learned that you don't change in the middle of the stream. When you got something working for you, you stick with it until it pays off. And that taught me that, and I've been carrying that kind of contest in my mind, that you can make anything happen if you stick with it long enough.
Okay. So earlier on, you mentioned that you grew up in the D.C. area. Mm-hmm. Were your family always in that area, or did they migrate from another state?
Well, they migrated from North Carolina.
North Carolina.
But I was born here.
Oh,
okay.
You were born here,
but my mother and my grandmother and all was from North Carolina. Yeah. And they came here, and because my grandfather, he worked at the Library of Congress. And he had a whole lot to do with the things that I wanted to do, because he was, like in our neighborhood, it was like I never really realized that we were poor because of how they lived and how they did things, Mm-hmm. I didn't never realize until I got about 20-some years old that, we just poor like everybody else. But the way that they did things and the way they dressed you up and all those kind of things made you feel like that you could do things that the average person couldn't do. Mm-hmm. But it was all about your beliefs. If you believe something hard enough and you think about it, you manifest it. You remember your first car that you got? If you think about how you got that first car, you saw somebody else with it and you thought about it, and before you know it, you said, "I'm going to get me a car." And that thought never left your mind. Before you know it, you're driving your own car, right?
Right.
And that's how it really works. And all these things you see that I've done, you'll see many, many more things at the shop. But, it's just a belief that you have. If you can believe in yourself, you can manifest it.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So just to backtrack on your family being from North Carolina. Mm-hmm. When you were growing up, were there like any stories that your mom or your grandma would tell you? Because in your book you mentioned being very close to your grandmother Trudy and your mom Bertrand.
Right.
Were there any like struggle stories that they told you, like how they grew up and things that they had to go through? Yeah,
they picked cotton and those kind of things, and they would tell me all these stories. And when we would go down, I saw how they used to take a bath. They had a big tub, and they went to the well, and they poured water in, and then they even had pots that you do your washing in. They took sticks, and they would do this and stir it, big pots. And clean, put soap in there, the different kind. They made their soaps and different things like that. So, after the struggles that I saw, like stories like Roots and all of those, I really didn't like those kind of movies. Matter of fact, I saw one called Harriet the other day.
Oh yes,
It was
just
good.
came out.
It was
Yes.
good. But it's like, like she had her mind made up that she was going to do what she had to do. And that's the kind of thing that I learned from my family because, like if you really want something and you want it bad enough and you think about it long enough, you come up with ideas. Like when I came up with this, like I told you, what I did, I was looking for some scissors and I thought about it. I said, nobody that I know have ever put scissors on their chest. And that's how I came up with that idea. And even with the game, it was like the guy said something. He said, and the book. Somebody said, all these things you've done, you got a book in you. A book in me? I said, okay. And the next thing you know, I got a book. And I'm saying anybody could do it. If you see people, these people that read palms and all that stuff, it's like they believe that they can do something to make people realize what it is that they can do. And it's the same thing. If you focus on it long enough, if you get really into whatever it is, whether it's photography, whatever it is, you can make it happen. What is it that you can do that somebody else is doing better? You got to better your best all the time. Better your best. And now what I'm doing, I'm painting. People say, well, how long have you been painting? I said, 2 years. 2 years, you see some of my work, it's like unbelievable because I believe, I got a strong belief and I share my belief. I've been doing motivational workshops for over 30 years. I worked at PG Community College for 15 years, or 17 years. I worked for Maryland Park and Planning as a motivational speaker. I worked for Soft Sheen Products for 24 years as a motivational speaker. Showing people how they can make their dreams come true. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I was going through your book, and in chapter 1, you highlighted your early educational journey. You mentioned your preschool days and your elementary school days, but you didn't really go into your high school and anything after that.
Okay.
So could you elaborate
Sure.
on that?
Yeah, when I went to high school, I always thought I was kind of different, and I always thought that whatever somebody else could do, I could do. And one of the weakest things that I had was math. My math was like, I just, I can't get this stuff, But when I decided, I said, okay, I'm going back and I'm going to get my GED. And I went back and I got it. And then I said, I'm going to go to college and I'm going to show myself, nobody else. I want to prove to myself. At that time, I had already been put in the Museum of American History and stuff like that. I was already ahead of myself. So I said, I went back, I think I was in my 40s, to graduate from PG Community College. And when I went there, I just went, like any chance I could go to school, I would go. And I'm still in school now for art.
Oh, for art.
Yeah.
At PG Community College.
At PG, but I'm in the SAGE class. That's for seniors.
Seniors.
Yeah. So,
okay.
I've always, stayed in school for doing something and learning more, about life and what I could do. And that's just something that I love, and anybody can do it. I always say that anybody can do it. And also, I teach roller skating classes. I teach roller skating classes now on Saturdays and Tuesdays. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so just to go back to you going to PG Community College and you're studying art. When you get your degree and you graduate with your art degree, associate, do you plan on taking that knowledge and doing something business with it,
No,
or is it just recreational?
It's just recreation now because I've met all the goals that I really wanted to do in life. It's like, it's just, now the next stage is to be happy, to make other people happy, and just to show myself that I can continue learning, becoming the best person that I can be before I leave the planet.
So throughout your career, your journey, have you always lived in the DC area, or have you spent some time in other states or even in other countries?
Well, in other countries I have. I've been to Africa, I've been to Paris, London, I've been to Nigeria, I've been to Egypt, and I didn't pay a dime.
Wow, how
I
did
didn't
that
pay a
happen? Yeah.
dime. Well, what, like the belief thing, like people discover me. Like you guys, you discovered me, right?
Right.
And that's how it is. All these articles, I can show you articles back 50 years ago when they first did articles on me. And every year in those 50 years, they've done articles on me. And the one you've seen recently, that's the latest one, that one there. And newspaper articles, TV shows, all that. Because it's something they say that I have. It's called serendipity. You heard of that word? Serendipity. That means you think of things, you manifest them. And they told me that at the museum, the first museum they put me in. They said, you have serendipity. I said, what is that? So they just said, you motivate people, you make people excited, those kind of things. And I'm just telling my story. And everybody has a story, And if I ask you, what do you want to be, have, or do? And it make you think, And that's the first thing that I did when I went to that five and dime. I said, where can I get some customers? Because I'm thinking like an entrepreneur, right? And manifesting things. And that's how it happens all the time. And sometimes you think it's a coincidence. But if you think like this and be like this, it's not a coincidence. You manifest things with your thoughts and your beliefs. And you got to stay on it all the time. I can show you some pictures I'm doing now. When you go to the house, you'll see that I'm making these pictures come alive just with beliefs. Put this here and this here, and before you know it, And it's like, it's whatever you want to be from here. Like you're doing something now. This can take you a long way. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And you'll never forget this conversation. You
I won't.
That's how it goes.
So, throughout your, your journey, was there any, like anything that stood out, like the most significant moment for you throughout your career?
The most significant moment for me in my early stage is when my grandmother died. You know what I mean? The pain, and I had to figure out how to go through it. Then I had 2 sons to die. It's all in the book. And I had to go through that pain. I lost my wife, my mother, all of those things. And you wonder why. What is this? Why? And then you say, why me? And then I remember saying that to a doctor one time. I said, why me, doc? He said, why not you, Mr. Mathis? Everybody gets a turn. This just happens to be your turn. And then he said, what do you believe is going to happen from this? And then I started thinking, Before you know it, you start thinking more positive. I had prostate cancer, and they caught it in time. You know what I mean? And I never said my cancer. You know what I mean? I wouldn't accept my cancer. You know what I mean? That's somebody else's cancer, not mine. So, recently I went to the doctor, and I just got a bone scan and what's that, CT scan, clean. You know what I mean? So I said, wow, okay, it's real. I've said that many times. I said, it's real. You got to believe it's real. You know what I mean? It's something that you have in you that you make things happen. You manifest things, with your beliefs. And it's just that simple. And nobody's going to tell you this unless they know for sure. And if they know for sure, you got to make it real in their mind, too. And when you leave from here, I'm hoping that you have something. Say, boy, I'm glad I talked to that guy. Because it's a little feeling that you get all up in here, and it start coming. You're like, oh, I got it. And we used to call it the Mathis magic.
Oh.
The Mathis magic.
Who came up with that?
I did.
You came up with that.
And my grandmother, she kind of said, we got magic. She led me to believe that. We got magic. I said, we do? I got it too? She said, you got it too. So if you believe it, you got it. And I always refer to things, how can you get a patent? A patent. How can you get a book? How can you invent a game? How can you do all these things? That's what people wanted to know. How do you do all of this? I say it's your beliefs. I mean, I can't make it no clearer than that. It's your beliefs. You become what you think about most. I'll give you an example. This is something I'll go back maybe 60 years, and I can say something that came on the TV. I used to do my homework, and I used to look at television at the same time, and I can remember exactly what the guy said, and it went something like this. Look, up in the sky, it's a bird, it's a plane, it's Superman. Yes, Superman. Strange visitor from another planet who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. Superman, who can change the course of mighty rivers, bend steel with his bare hands, and who, disguised as Clark Kent, wild man and reporter for a great metropolitan newspaper, led the fight for truth, justice, and the American way. And guess what? I didn't mean to remember that. Garbage in, garbage out. And I tell you another thing that's really unbelievable. When I was about 25, I said I want to have my house paid off by the time I'm 50. I'm 73 now. At 50 years old, I had my house paid off. And then I bought another house and paid it off cash. And y'all wonder, how are you going to do that? You know what I mean? And it's real. It's real. I'm just saying, I wanted to do that because I was a hairdresser. And a hairdresser, if you don't set things up right, by the time you get my age, you're in big trouble. You know, you waste your time. You got to spend your time wisely. You got to create your money wisely. Just simple as that. If you don't do it, ain't nobody going to do it. Okay?
Okay, so how would you say your career has like changed your, your general lifestyle, like, how you grew up and how you are now?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how would you say that, changed
Well,
it?
I would say it's pretty much the same because of my beliefs. You know what I mean? Everything is pretty much the same when I was that little boy running down there trying to get customers. But over the years, I became famous for doing hair. A barber, just a regular barber. I used to, like I said, just doing neighborhood people's hair. Next thing I knew, I was with different companies that wanted me to come to work for them. They'd heard so much about me. I got books I can show you now that goes back 50 years every time, and this is something I tell people too. Document everything. Document everything that you do. So when you get older, you got a record of everything. And I can show you, I got about 5 or 6 trunks full of information. I'll show you some of it when you go there, of the things that I've done. And I mean, it's unbelievable. Even when I look at it, I'll be like, wow, I did that, And like I said, I've been all over the world and didn't pay a dime. Companies, big companies paid my way. So I'm just saying.
So was there any time or any instances, more than one, or if it's just one, where you met a roadblock throughout your career, like, as an African American man, did you ever feel like, out of place in the beauty industry, or was there any discrimination you faced that you didn't belong in that industry?
No, it seemed like I always belonged, And the thing I think that really changed my life is by me being an only child, I always wanted a family, my own family. And when I got that, I had different children out of wedlock, but I always kept the kids together. And 2 of my sons died. And the youngest one, he was 11 years old when he died. He got killed in a car accident. And that's how I came up with the game, So that was the thing. I thought about leaving the business, and I said, no, I can't do that. And then somebody said something to me. As a matter of fact, at the interview that you'll see at the house, he said, well, what happened? I said, well, my son passed away, and I just want to give up. I'm tired of everything. He said, well, you don't want to do that. You want to continue on, and you want to be the best that you can be at this point in your life. And one thing, you got a lot of people depending on you. And I said, what do you mean? He said, you got a lot of people's images. You create people's images. When you fix their hair and they look in the mirror and they put their clothes on, bam, I did that. You see what I mean? And they like that. So after that, I was like, okay, I got this. I'm not going nowhere. And people been with me for 50 years. You know, I got people that still come to me. Reggie, he was there Saturday. I've been cutting his hair ever since he was 10 years old, and he just turned 70. I've been cutting his hair ever since he was 10. And I got a lot of people like that. You know what I mean? So, and I've seen a lot of people die. You know what I mean? That's something that kind of stuff really gets to me. So I try not to go to funerals. I try not to visit graves because the person is gone. You know what I mean? People going putting flowers and all that. That's what they do. I don't do it. You know what I mean? The person is gone, but they are still here. Okay?
Yes, memories. So you've mentioned that throughout the years people have done numerous pieces on you.
Mm-hmm.
And I came across one, the Washington City paper. They did a piece on you in January 15th, 1999, written by Paul Ruffins. And in the piece, it made mention of your debut as a hairstylist for the Britain's Royal Shakespeare Company.
Yeah.
So could you elaborate on that experience or on other experiences you had like that, working with those companies?
Well, I'll start with plays and movies. I've done several movies, hair for movies companies, and the Royal Shakespeare Company, I've done that. I've worked with people like Richard Pryor, Muhammad Ali. You've seen a lot of those in the book. But the Shakespeare Company, when I was with Soft Sheen, we would go out and they would have people that, knew hair and all that come in and do wigs and stuff like that for plays and stuff. So that was something that I really enjoyed. Sometimes it's an out-of-body experience when you're doing things like that. It just seems like, how did I get here, And I mean, it just keeps happening, just like what we're doing right now. It just keeps happening. And it's still, I can't go away from the belief part because, you always believe that something good is going to happen, and it's a feeling that you get. Like I told her this year, I said, this is my 50th year in business, and things are going to start happening. And lo and behold, every time, people call. Miss, what's the lady's name? Lorraine? Yeah, she called me. She wanted me to do the author, something about authors having a big thing in next year sometime. I think it's April. But I'm just showing you how these things happen, and it's not that I'm making them happen. It's just the beliefs that happens, and you get a call, and there it is. And that's how that came about.
So when I was conducting research on you, I came across that, you did music, and today you also brought some of your CDs. Did you think that, if you didn't do hair, you'd probably go into the music industry?
That's how I started. In other words, I used to, like I said, sing in a group. And I told my grandmother a long time ago, she asked me what did I want to be besides that. And I said, I want to be a singer, And I always tried to make what I believe come true. So, to do those kind of things, you have to stick. Matter of fact, I have a studio in my house, which I'll show you that too. Matter of fact, I'll sing a song for you guys. But yeah, that's the thing. It's like I think it looms large in your mind what it is you want to have or do, and then you think of ways to do that. You think of ways to get it out there, and you don't stop until it happens. And that's what it was. I just, my thing was like, I thought I was going to be a singer. I became a singer to certain degrees, but, it wasn't like hair, And I could tell you a story at the Howard Theater. Oh, I did. I told you the one about, stopping in the middle of the stream instead of going on what you have to do. So that taught me to continue on and not stop. So I was already doing that. And then when I kind of got very known in the beauty business, I said, well, let me go back to some of the things that I used to do, like roller skating. And the next thing I know, I was a teacher. You know what I mean? You should come to my class sometime if you can. I'm just saying,
So, in a lot of the articles and also in your book, and you also mentioned it today, you brought up the wheel of life, your concept. So I wanted to know if you could just like elaborate more on it, like how do you go about doing it, like how do you,
Okay.
how does it work?
Okay, let me show you. Now, this right here is called the outcome of what you're thinking about. In other words, this is your wheel of life. And this if you focus on these things, most people focus out of that. You focus on your spiritual self. You know, what can you do in your life? If you think of 3 things that you can do spiritually that would help you to gain where you're trying to go. You know, if you read spiritual material, if you close your eyes and meditate and focus, you get a little more focused on the real thing within your life. Okay, your physical self. What are you doing on a regular basis that will create your your physical self? Do you exercise? Do you walk? Do you run? Do you eat right? You know, all of those things, you know. I used to always say I didn't want to have a bald head and a bloated belly. No belly, bald head, no belly. You got to believe that stuff, you know what I mean? Okay, your mental self. What are you doing? If you think of 3 things, what could you do mentally? And this is how you put the value on it. You know what I mean? In other words, like these things right here, values. I call it, you could take a nickel, dime, a quarter, and a penny, and that would be value. So you would take this and say, okay, this week I'm going to work on my spiritual self. And then you think of the things that you're going to do within that week that deals with spiritual. Okay? Then you say, well, what else? And some people, they focus on one thing. Okay? Yeah, and then you say, okay, well, let's see. If I put the spiritual and the physical together, that's going to make a big difference in my life. So what 3 things are you going to do that corresponds that? Okay, how many people love you? Man, family. Okay, you get focused on that and think about what it is that you want to be. But if you're not doing something like this, you're not staying focused. You got to stay focused on what it is. And you get so good at it that you can do things that people wouldn't even believe. You know what I mean? You say, wow, how do you do that? It's the wheel of life. That's your life. Everybody got a wheel of life, but they don't use it. It's up to you to make it happen. And this is what I did too with these. Now they're color coded, if you notice that. So we were talking about the spiritual and the physical. So if you can't think of things, what does that say? Read that for me.
Okay, physical. Take exercise classes. Taibo, Tai Chi, Karate, aerobotics, jazz exercise or jazz exercise.
Jog, you know, like jog.
Okay, or step classes, etc.
Okay.
You have yoga, engage a personal trainer, jump rope, ride a bike, roller skates.
Okay, now
So
just think about if you're thinking about that all the time. Somebody say, hey girl, come on, let's go dance. You just like, I got to do my exercise. If you haven't done it, then you go there. Well, tell me that.
Okay. Learn techniques of breathing for relaxation. Relax to relieve stress. Walk on a treadmill in the park with your dog. Jog. Do something physical. Run with your dog, a friend, or a group.
Okay, that's the idea. Now let's do something spiritual. Okay.
Spend time with yourself alone. Be grateful. Give thanks. Volunteer in any way at your place of worship, as a usher, hospitality, etc. Give a helping hand. Fast and pray.
Okay.
Then you have take a walk in nature. Experience silence. Don't talk for 2 hours. Look up the word faith in the dictionary. Avoid beating yourself up. Buy hardback religious books when possible. Begin every day by writing down the things you're thankful for. Take a religious class. Join a prayer group. Pay tithes. Pray with someone. Consult with a minister. Reward your spiritual success.
Okay.
Look for the good in everything. Lighten up and relax more. Be flexible. Welcome change. Say good morning and mean it. Do more than anyone expects from you.
Now you see, just
like
think of those cards right there. Just those things took a lot of time, but now that you got it, you're like, wow, okay. Now let's talk about professions.
Okay. Okay, so profession. Be known as the one who gets things done. Aim high. Stretch yourself physically, mentally, and spiritually. Make other people feel important. Have a plan B. Give better service than you get. I like this one you said. Have a plan B. Yes. Always have a backup plan. Live every day as if it's going to be your last day. Avoid clutter. Shake things up. Timing is the key. Be a sponge for knowledge. Keep it in the right perspective. Journey toward enlightenment. Stand tall. Be in tune with your spirit. Count your blessings. Be your own best friend. Never stop dreaming. You see, like reading these cards, I really appreciate the fact that, what I see that you're trying to bring across is that sometimes in life people just run with the flow, but sometimes you just need to stop.
That's right.
And just appreciate and reflect.
Yeah.
Because through reflection brings clarity.
Yeah.
So
guess what? You're gonna be somebody. I already see you. I see you. I'm telling you now.
I hope so. That's the dream. Okay. So in your book and articles that I've read, a lot of the reference how people call you the bush doctor. How did you end up getting that name?
Okay, that's a good one. I was on a TV show one time. They asked me to come in, and they used to call me the hair doctor. And what happened was when the guy introduced me, he said, "Ladies and gentlemen, Nat the bush doctor." I was like, okay. And that's how it started. This guy's name is Carl Henson. He's still on the radio now. You heard of Carl Henson? Yeah, he had a TV show at that time. And it stuck. And it just stuck with me.
Gave you that name.
That name, because the afros had come out, and I had been really good at the afro. But the way that my shop came about, I thought of having a hair hospital. Nobody has ever done that. A person that fixed hair, fixed the problem. Whether it's the cut, whether it's, the scalp and everything. He just wanted to be a hair hospital, and I want to be the doctor of that hospital. That's how it came about. And I want you to read some of those, too, because that's important.
Mental. Talk to yourself more. Play more games. Read See You at the Top by Zig Ziglar. Be early. Laugh a lot. Get a massage regularly. Yeah, my mom always stresses that.
That's
get
important.
A massage after every semester, before every semester.
That's right.
Loosen you up. Mental, hug more, read at least one book every month, smile more, read book of quotations, talk less, read biographies. Play the Wheel of Life game. Play other board games, learn about computers, study and practice something, work on word puzzles. Read The Power of Positive Thinking by Dr. Norman Vincent Peale. Yeah, always have your mind, keep yourself engaged.
This one right here, this green because it's money. Everybody loves money. Get the money, get the money.
Yes.
Let's see what we're talking about.
Be committed, take more risks. Pay your taxes, think more, spend money on fewer basic things, be optimistic. Pay yourself first. Ultimate goal, invest 10% of all your income, spend less. Open IRA, individual retirement account. Yeah, that's smart, because some people, they go through life and they never save anything.
Yeah,
and that's
they get
where the
50
trouble.
years old, they're in big trouble. They don't even know it.
Have fun, expect challenges, have options, be honest, be ethical, go on picnics. Why picnics?
Just to get away.
Get
out in the woods.
Okay, buy things from little kids. Be interested, be true to yourself. Earn all you can, think, be enthusiastic. See, I like this concept because it gives you freedom of mind, meaning that make someone think
that's
that
what
they
it's
can
all about. They can do it.
accomplish
They can do
anything.
it. Anybody can do it. They just have to have the will of mind to do it.
I really like this. This is really good.
And these were things to help people to get their thinking
in order,
in that direction. Mm-hmm.
But I have a question for you. How were you able to develop such strong will and like focus at such a young age and be able to carry it out like even to this day? Because some people, as my age, younger, like they just cannot stay focused or they cannot, keep things in order or get their life together. So how were you able to do that at such a young age?
I think it's like being excited about something. You know how you get excited about something? You get a feeling in you. You got to learn to keep that feeling inside. It's like, I call it a burning desire. It's burning in you. And the things that you like read and stuff like that, you pump it up, but you just gotta keep doing it. It's like roller skating. You just can't go out there and do it a couple times. You gotta say, I'm gonna learn this. I'm gonna get it. And my students now, I got them, I have them to march first. You have to march. Once you learn to march, then you learn to glide. And once you learn to glide, you learn to skate. You know what I mean? And that kind of concept. And you can watch kids and people do it, and you can see that it works. But you got to work it. The person got to work it. They got to believe it, and they got to work it.
And develop commitment. And just my last question for you today. What advice would you give young people who are trying to get into the beauty industry or trying to do anything in life? Like what would you tell them? Where should they start?
Well, the main thing is you have to have a plan. You have a dream, but you got to wake up and make the dream come true. So whatever your dream is, you got to put it in perspective. And that's what this is, if you read that for me there.
Okay. Must put goals in perspective. The Wheel of Life explains and simplifies the art and science of the human potential. The human potential is like a cell. When the environment is favorable, it continues to grow.
That's my question, my answer right there. You know what I mean? So it's up to you to put that into effect, because all those things is what make your life go.
Yeah, you have to put yourself in the right environment.
All the time. All the time. Yeah. And you got to know when to get out of the craziness, When they say for instance, you work with somebody, I say, girl, I'm so tired. And y'all both walk off into the sunset tired. You know what I mean? You can't have that. You got to do what you believe. And those people that don't believe it, you got to let them go. Just as simple as that.
Well, I must say it was really, really nice speaking with you. And
thank you.
I've learned a lot.
Well, let me say this. You're so kind and considerate. Your generosity is simply overwhelming.
Thank you so much.
You are.
Okay. And thank you so much for coming and meeting us here today.
All right.